This is just dark color, so we can put a lighter color on top of it later. It'll stand out. Absolutely have to have dark in order to have light. You gotta have dark. You gotta have opposites. Dark and light, light and dark. Attenuating things.
working. And we're live. At least we should be. If anybody wants to double check the stream, you can let me know if we're not in the chat. Welcome back, party people, for another DAOhaus Haus Party. And welcome to our guest Leo from Machi X. We'll be chatting about that in a minute. First, just project updates. What do we got? Anything cool out of Mage Smiths this week? Still just kind of head down building, yeah?
Yeah, totally. Working on the V2 Pokemon pretty heavily.
Nice, you got some beats there in the background.
Oh, are they still playing? I gotta fix that. They shouldn't be. See, are you watching the stream now?
Sounds like Loft Radio.
Yeah. It should be. But it should have turned off. Which means I gotta fix a thing. Talk amongst yourselves.
Well, it's nice to have a little background music. Anyways, yeah, so just heads down, getting some stuff done. We got a lot of the kind of reskin done, and so probably in the next week or two, we'll have kind of this like pre-alpha ready for everyone to, all the current DAOs can start playing with. And then we're going to be rolling out a bunch of new features over the next month or two from there. So it's going to be really cool. We'll have to get some like little demo pictures up, or wait a week or two and you'll be able to see it yourself.
Right on. Okay. I think that should be fixed, so let me know.
Yeah.
Paladins, I think we've been growing the Paladin camp in terms of building out ops side things for the project.
Community's growing.
And we've got somebody for community now too, which is cool. Worth mentioning on our side. And then otherwise, Alchemist's still cranking on novel tokenomic things to do with our house token as this all evolves. Anything?
Yeah, no, a quick update. I guess we've talked about this in the past, but we have our product DAO, which is the house DAO. That's where we're all working on things, and then we actually have that split into 4 circles, so 4 sub DAOs, and so we can all kind of work in parallel with what's up on the screen now: the product, ops, tokenomics, and community. A little DAO on DAO action.
There we go. Okay. Sorry. No. I have the video playing in too many places. Okay. Kick ass. Yeah. I mean, so that's kind of the update on what's going on inside the house.
Any new articles coming out of the Rangers?
We dropped one that was last week's article, but this came out this week because last week was crazy here in the States and I was unfocused. It's a post I wrote about Discord as the sort of bridge to the metaverse, and just mainly why it's awesome and why we like to hang out there and why we think that sort of community comms and like world building tool is like super powered when you put a DAO on top of it. But I suspect anyone listening to this or joining us right now gets that already. I mean, literally, if you're on the call, you're in Discord, so you get it. But we'll put a link in the description to that if you want to check that out.
It is pretty cool how Discord is kind of reinventing how things work, or has. The community is reinventing it, but Discord is one of the tools.
And it's interesting because you're starting to see like Slack was a giant shift from like email. Discord is very familiar if you've used Slack with some subtle differences, but those subtle differences really make it a different place to be. And so that's kind of partially what the post is about. And then ultimately how that relates to the idea of what is a metaverse and,
Yeah, and then DAOhaus, some of the features we'll be rolling out is actually some better integrations with Discord. We've got some notifications and stuff going on, some different bots that will tie things together a little more. But it is kind of an important part of the stack, I think, for a community now to have Discord, and for a DAO even.
Word. Cool. Well, so otherwise, let's get on to talking about things that aren't DAOhaus, but DAOs generally. Leo, thank you for joining us. Welcome to the house party.
Thanks for having me.
We were just talking before you jumped on. So you like me, have never met any of these weirdos in person.
That's right.
Which there's a distinct split because the pandemic hit and we had to stop doing meetups.
Right.
So like I have a different meetup crew that I never see in person anymore and I still talk to. Largely we've moved to Discord. But I've only ever been involved with these guys through Discord, essentially.
Yeah, it's like just about everybody on the call here I have had some contact with, but I honestly probably couldn't pick everybody out on the stand-up, even though I'm like, oh yeah, that guy, he's in this, that, he's in that. And then it's like, cool, well, in some ways it broadens the circle and sort of like we're all in some an odd trusted community within the trustless system.
Mm-hmm. I kind of wonder how, like, once I start talking to people in person again, if I'm going to be able to do it. It's weird, even like when I go out like to the grocery store or something, and the masks things have become so normal. Where, a year ago, it would have been weird to see someone with a mask on, but now when I see someone with a mask on, it's like, dude, go put on your pants, kind of thing. It's like, where's your mask? It just is like, why can I see your mouth right now? That's weird.
I overcompensate by saying hello to everyone, like way more than I would if I wasn't wearing a mask every time I have to go out. And that impulse made me wonder at one point if the masks would cause like hat doffing and like, because we have ways of communicating that are still sort of like in a lineage from when knights used to wear helmets all the time. And so like we still go like this, which is, sort of the salute comes from a knight lifting their visor to show that they're not a threat as they pass you on the road. So I don't know. I imagine a world where everybody starts doing a lot more of, these.
Yeah, we're going to learn some different language.
Anyway. Awesome. Yeah. So you're a member of Metacartel. But then ultimately the project that brings you to us is Machi X.
That's right.
So you want to talk a little bit about sort of how that came to be?
Yeah, so Machi X started back in 2018, where just an experiment within the whole. We've got the blockchain. What can we do with it? And so, we thought about saying, let's use the fact that you can tokenize things to create a market where there wasn't a market reasonably. So. We want to apply this to music and say, look, there's no argument that each song is valuable as intellectual property. Everybody would not argue that, the thing is worthless. The thing is worth something. We can all agree to that. The thing being music and music copyrights. That's lyrics and the words specifically, lyrics and song. But then there's no real valuation metric because there's no market for it. So when I dug deeper in this music market, the consensus was quite that it's like you own a bunch of nice buildings, houses, real estate, but you couldn't sell any. First of all, there's no market for that. And second of all, there's only a market for renting. And there's only like 3 parties that'll rent that. So that's like Sony, Universal, and Warner. And so like, okay, well, what if we broke this thing out and that each fan couldn't, you can get tokenized, fractionalized ownership of the songs you love, and you can participate in some of the royalties. We dug deep into the legal side of things that probably roughly said that, in all the courts around the world, they don't get into royalty distribution. They don't see that as a security, yada, yada, yada. Maybe it's fine. So we spent a bunch of money, a bunch of time on lawyers and stuff. And then we ended up saying, okay, cool, we're going to launch this. And we're going to launch it in Asia, which actually was what brought me out to Taipei. Because like, there's no way I'm doing this thing with all the ambiguity in the US for blockchain. So I came to Taipei back in 2018, 2019, I don't know, yeah, 2019. And then we started doing this project more, and then we launched mobile app on both Google and Apple, and we spent a bunch of money building up an exchange backend and effectively tokenized on ERC20 a bunch of the tokens for songs. We ended up rolling out 59 songs tokenized. They're all like large Golden Melody Award winner, which are like the Asian Grammys, and they're all award-winning songs, so that people want them. But it ultimately, that first phase failed because it was really expensive to run an exchange infrastructure, because you can imagine maintain an app and all that, and then consumer behavior was hard to change. So as I was thinking about pivoting, it brought me into sort of searching for what's next. And what I learned was that even employees, people in the community, people jumping in because of promotions aren't necessarily in it for what we thought they would be in it for. And rather, it was the community people that really cared. It was the people who were like, hey, let me help you pump this thing. Hey, let me help you, get the word out. Hey, and it's like, ultimately, it's a community contribution that made it make sense. So I started hearing about this weird DAO thing, which led me to the search in the beginning of the year in 2020. And that's how I ended up finding Metacartel and Peter and Deacon and crew here. And then that's how I started thinking, okay, this is it. So I want to learn about DAOs. I want to launch a DAO so I can be more harness the power of the community, etc. And that's roughly how it led me to this thing here toward the beginning of the year. And then we eventually evolved it toward the NFT art side.
That's really interesting with like that tie to how an NFT and a community, the value in an NFT is really that the community sees value in it, and it besides that it's attached to the song and the lyric, it's the community part is really like the important key factor there. That's really interesting.
Yeah, because initially the thesis was that, look, when you have a thing with three buyers, so to speak, whether that's a lease or an actual purchase arrangement, you can expand that to multiple parties, and you're going to be able to basically increase its value. And it also turns out to be other complexity involved, which is like people ask questions like, oh, well, if I have like a small piece, can I use it? It gets into copyright rules and laws problems, and people start thinking, can I start using it here and there? Can I do whatever it is to? And so ultimately, we thought to give it a try into NFT land elsewhere. Through my journey, I also ended up getting really deep into the metaverse. Crypto voxels, probably own way too many parcels for my own good.
Probably a good investment, though.
I don't know. We'll see. I actually do have a tower that I told Peter about, and I call it the Metacartel Tower. And it's in Junkyard, right across from the Metafactory parcel. So I guess I might as well give it a plug here. Anybody that's here on the stream that is anywhere related to the MetaFam, which I'm assuming you are, we actually parceled out, like within the tower, we have like multiple floors and we have suites in them, but there's nobody using them right now. And my intention was always like, look, if it's a Metacartel grantee, if it's a Metacartel Ventures portfolio company, if it's a friend of the MetaFam, just let me know. I'll put your name on there, and you can have your own little suite in Crypto Voxels where you can put up pictures and show your project and put links up. Whatever.
Can DAOhaus get a suite?
Yeah, no, totally. You can get a floor.
All right, let's do it. And also, Raid Guild, we should maybe sell our parcel over there if we make any profits, and then move into the tower.
How are we going to put a castle in the tower?
You just have to build upwards past the building limits until they put that in via a DAO or anything else. Now, as a Crypto Voxels parcel owner, I'm like all for like, hey, what we should do is we should issue Crypto Voxels tokens, and then it should be based on how many parcels you own or the actual voxel volume you own.
Yeah,
so that's a whole nother topic there.
I saw some talk on that on Twitter that we should do that.
Yeah, that's why I keep tagging you guys when I see it. I'm like, hey.
Yeah, we should reach out to him and see what he's doing, because
there's actually a channel in the Crypto Voxels Discord about the economic kind of setup and the DAO structure.
Oh, cool.
You could just drop into their CV Discord and check it out. But the thing that's most amazing to me after having seen the various crypto communities, as you guys were talking about earlier, Discord, first of all, is a fantastic tool. And it's interesting how I'm now pushing everybody. Like, I don't even know why you're buying a Slack subscription. You should just use you should just use Discord. If nothing else, it's free. And then, but yeah, talking to people within the NFT community, like it is in fact the nicest community out there. Like everybody's like, hey, you're new to whatever visual art, music, or metaverse. Like, let's help you out. And it's rarely like, oh well, you're a noob and you suck. But this is more like, hey, how can I help? And I think that's fantastic. I love that about the kind of NFT community.
I've noticed that as well. It surprises me even because more dealing with devs, which devs are cool too, but the NFT artists, like I'm a little intimidated by them a little bit because they have such a different skill than what I'm used to. But then they're so nice and they're like willing to help, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is cool. Yeah, we could talk.
Yeah. I think would be really cool. I don't know if any of you guys here have met Jim McNellis from Avastars, NFT 42, Token Smart, that whole crew. They are actually so Jim and Nate. I forget Nate's last name, but he has a Twitter account. Or he's a handle under Nate Alex, and those two folks are super into the technology as well. Nate more so directly into technology, but they're into the development of smart contracts, and I think would be an interesting kind of extension / partnership, or just friends if you guys don't know them.
Yeah.
To what extent do you think, like what you say, the NFT community, but really you're talking about people that are applying, the NFT like non-fungible idea to art, and so really you're talking about artists. And this is particularly, like, my perspective on this is tilted toward music because that's where my wife has experience and I have legal experience.
Okay.
But do you think that community pops up because it's the nature of artists, or they are particularly oppressed? Because like the way that the music industry treats artists is not like it structurally unfair.
Yes.
As a product of the business that came to be. But like now that delivery is not so hard, you don't have to literally stamp a vinyl record and send it through the mail. Like they still have all these essentially bullshit dynamics in the system that just take money from the artist and give it to the record labels, give it to the these intermediaries ultimately. And like every once in a while, Bob bubbles into pop culture because somebody complains about their royalties coming out of Spotify. It's
Yes.
like when you understand how the industry's really working and stuff, it's like, not only is it so much more complicated than that, but also the answer is get the artists organized and tell them to stop accepting these shitty contracts that have all this stuff in there that the label is going to be like, well, you have to have a 5% breakage fee. No, you literally don't. A breakage fee is because vinyl records used to crack. Like, stop telling me you got to take 5% of what I'm supposed to earn because vinyl records sometimes break in transit. Like, I guess they would say it's piracy now, but anyway.
Yeah.
So, like it's easy to unite behind the idea of like, okay, we're the producers of the magical thing here. Like, how do we organize to.
So about that, like I read up on I read up on some of the music law books, and I saw a lot of the stuff firsthand. Man, the music industry is so broken. It is amazingly how broken it is, and it's just like you've got the bottom of the hill here, and that all the shit rolls on are the artists. You have these like performance rights organizations, and everybody's heard of like ASCAP and BMI. And nobody really knows what they do. And in fact, and I just learned about that organization in Taiwan here called MUST, and by whatever name they're in and whatever jurisdiction they're in, it's just really weird. It's like, hey, so look, we signed with this artist for your publishing rights, and we pay you like once every 6 months, 6 months too late, and then here's like a check, and like let's just for you to like you're going to be okay with this amount I give you because it's a black box, and you're going to be like, so why is it like $500 and not $692.53? Like, how do you get to 500? It kind of just is. And it's like I think this day and age, right, you should have well, Shazam's been around for a long time now, and it's like you should be able to show me a dashboard whereby all of my songs are playing with like heat maps of dots breaking up, and it's like this track is playing here, and therefore I'm getting like two drips of all the DeFi spinning numbers of like, oh, I'm making money here, here, here. Like it should be that, and money should be sent to me immediately as an artist, not this whole like you'll get it when you get it, and it's not that much money, and we're not giving it a breakdown. It's like an amazingly stupid way. It's not like a phone bill where you should just have all the details. But anyway, I think the artists, that's also an interesting topic here is I talk about the white glove service, and I wanted to see if I can actually get white gloves, and I failed, but just put that idea out there. But I think it's interesting how, first of all, as a category of people, I think that they are very they're risk taking in a lot of ways, right? And they can imagine a future, right? It's like, oh, well, imagine this future where this happens. It's like, yeah, of course, I do that all the time. Like, okay, cool. But then when it comes to technology, a bunch of them, by and large, are very risk averse. And I think that's the spot that we've landed on right now is like, initially we helped a bunch of musicians that have large label contracts tokenize some of their tokens. And then subsequently, we went into the visual art world. And one of the drops we did on our inaugural NFT drop actually had some street artists. The most famous guy of the street artists most famous artist we brought in on the first round was this Australian street artist named Lush. He's got over 1 million followers on Twitter and Instagram, and he's be part of the Banksy Dismal Land exhibit, and he's done some amazing art. And there are different artists here and there, and most of them are kind of they don't really want to touch the technology that much. And then our recent artist, Cheng, who's done a bunch of work with Marvel and DC Comics, and he's done like Spider-Man, Iron Man, etc., all the stuff that you recognize. He's actually super like, hey, you guys figure it out. Like, okay, cool. So a lot of what we have been doing at Machi X is like talking to artists, onboarding them into crypto, and like saying, okay, cool, just send me this thing, whatever your thing is, and then I'll tokenize it. I'll take care of the selling of it, and then you'll just magically get some money on the back end. And I think what might be interesting to this crowd here is to share the experience where after our inaugural art sale happened, I sent every artist the same email pretty much saying, hey, congratulations, your piece is sold here and here and here. Here's how many ETH that you got out of the sale. And then basically this is like the US dollar amount. Like, how would you like to take care of this? And I gave these people the options of like, you got MetaMask, here's his website, download it, send me your address, I can send you the money. You've got wallets that you could do. Zengo is one of them that I like, and set it up. You have like threshold signature, get your money sent to you. Awesome. And another one is like, if I can find you, if you're a friend, I'll PayPal you, I'll hand you cash, something, and I'll just keep your ETH. That's fine. And it's an actually interesting spread. It was pretty evenly spread to the people, the options that they took.
Okay, I was wondering. I thought you might just say that they all went the PayPal route. And I was just gonna...
No, actually, none of them went the PayPal route. I was pretty amazed.
Yeah, I've had a similar experience in terms of, trying to recruit largely, friends from the indie music scene, and I've kind of gotten to the same thing. And I love the term the white glove, because it sounds a lot less like, hey, I have to sit you down and walk you through this, or else you're never going to do it. But that's just that's just how it is, right? I think the learning curve for crypto things is so steep. But then once you hit that plateau, it's like, oh, I get this. Okay, so then the thing pops up here, and I click yes, I got it. Hands-on is just the way to do it. Like, you need legit ambassadors who are going out and just saying, hey, I will help you with this manually. But then once you're over the hump, holy shit, is it going to blow your mind?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's really true.
But I also think, as it relates to DAOhaus too, this is also true. Is that my goal was like, look, if you're ever an artist that we dealt with, let's get you a share in the Machi X DAO. You should have a voice. You should have a representation. You should have, an ability to get into a member only chat channel, and then whatever. Like, you want to participate, cool. If you don't, fine. And if you want to vote on stuff, and I know Deacon and I have gone back and forth on this before, or I was super excited initially, right? Deacon, I was like, hey, that thing that you could just log in with the username password thing I saw, the prototype, can we have that? Because that's what most people want. Like, they don't care about sovereignty. They don't care about not your keys, not your coins. They just want a place they can log in and bug somebody to be like, hey, man, can you reset my password?
It's one of those things I'm stubborn on, but I think I'm in a minority there. So, especially with new users, we shouldn't be forcing my idealistic vision on everyone. So I think that is something. At least we're looking at a couple different options for adding a flow for new users that doesn't include having your own EOA.
Yeah. So I also the current thing that we're doing. So we actually, I guess, since I'm on here, I might as well plug the fact that our second drop with Sean Chen's art is coming out on the 18th. So we are launching this set of NFTs, and you can bid on it with Ethereum, Machi X tokens, MCX, or Whale. And this is happening on the 18th over on our Comic X gallery on CryptoVoxels. So Sean Chen, as an artist, he's done he kind of, for like a long time, he's done a lot of art, and he's actually just started off with his own Wingman. It's called a Wingman comic series, and you can buy this comic book signed by him. Well, limited edition just ended. I guess the unlimited edition is launching on the 18th. But you can certainly look at most of the content for free if you just go to the Comic X parcel, which I guess, Kirp, I can give you the link later after the show. But you can go on there and you can literally walk through the comic experience, and kind of coupling back onto the amazing aspects of CryptoVoxels and the metaverse in general. Just the experience walking through pages of the comic book, I thought that was pretty cool. The two DAO members, Penguin and Ghost Agent, actually built that, so I'm pretty proud of that. But after our current set of releases that we're going through, we're also working on moving back into the music NFT space. So we have one of the OG music industry guys from Brooklyn that's joining us in Machi X DAO, and he's got lots of hip hop contacts. I think if you're a DAO member, Deacon, you might have seen his profile listed on our channel. I think it's pretty amazing. I am gonna hold that one back just to have a little bit of surprise factor there, perhaps. But we've been talking about how to bring back the music NFT thing, and I think, Kirp, to your point, the biggest thing we're doing here is looking for more artists like Andre, RAC, just people who aren't signed and kind of encumbered by the existing legacy system, which causes all these problems. So if you're unsigned, you don't have a publisher to deal with, hopefully, none of that crap about in this jurisdiction you can do this, that, and the other. And if you don't have a record label or a publishing house that does something weird to your contracts, when you think about it, like, most of music revenue now, 75% and growing, is coming from streaming. In my very idealistic world, could an NFT then capture that 75% of the revenue stream and dumping that 25% that is sourced from, in fact, the legacy system? I think that'd be pretty awesome. We haven't worked a solution for that part yet, but we're looking at how we can now help basically a curated a list of music NFTs, make it out there as our next sort of thing we're experimenting with.
I'm curious, like you said, you get the subset of people that don't care so much about the crypto side and all that kind of stuff. And that kind of hits the DAO space where, like I was saying, if you can take the community and you can organize the community, there's power in that, right? And I think the superpower of DAOs is around community ownership of sort of, the central entity. There's kind of a broader difficulty I have a lot of times particularly with the artists, around the idea that they could even possibly have that power. Like, they're so abused by the system.
Yes.
That when you say, hey, but if we all just got together and said this, they go, yeah, that won't work because Capitol Records won't let that happen. And the funny thing is, actually, structurally, the industry is pretty ripe for this because they have consistently gotten out of like monopoly lawsuits by saying, no, but there's competition. And so like literally everyone's publishing contract has to be non-exclusive because that's how they work. So everyone can have a publisher and another publisher. So if you can cut the publishing company out, ASCAP and BMI can't say, no, you can't go anywhere else. So like you could just spin up an ASCAP competitor. Anyway, that's sort of a rabbit hole, but really the thing is more so it creates this mentality where when I say to people like you could just organize like Los Angeles local independent musicians union and then behave this way with the DAO, etc. They sort of you lose them on that front too. And so I'm always trying to explore like what's the presentation to help with this, because I guess like ultimately you're talking about community organizing, like the kind of things that bring about labor unions. I think artists just sort of don't believe that they work unless you're already in the Writers Guild or the Producers Guild or some other, sort of.
I think I've kind of two parts on that view. First thing is that the abused kind of learned behavior is definitely true. I've got artists that tell me like, okay, so you take 50% of the proceeds, right? I'm like, oh, no, that's not how this works. I'm like, wait a minute. Why am I pushing back on people telling me like you should take 50% of the proceeds? But then on the other hand, it's like we're not here to screw you, man. Like there's kind of like, here's my wallet, man. I'm like, no, I don't want your wallet. I just want you to get paid more, and I want your art into this world of fluffy unicorns and rainbows, and we can all get along. They're like, okay, so you're taking 50%. Have you not been listening to me? Like, I'm going to give you more, and you get 10% of sales after that on all the other sales. So you should talk about your art, get to know your fans, get to know your collectors, and everybody wins together. And they're like, okay, so you
so where do I send my 50%? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, dude, come on, man. Like, let's kind of break your bonds. Like, get out. It's kind of like, it's like you crack the cage open. Fly, birdies, fly. They're like, I don't, what? No, I'm right
that's
here.
the funny. So like I've run into this in the legal space too, because it's another industry that's been cornered by this idea of like a between $300 and $800 billable hour. And so when you go to people and go, no, I made a widget to do that for $3, they don't believe you. They think it's a scam. Like we spent a bunch of time interviewing users and we were saying, what if it were free? And they'd go, I still would feel sketchy about it. And it's sort of like, just because we're doing a thing that used to be, quote, lawyer territory, they're so trained by the system and like episodes of Law and Order and like so many layers deep it goes in terms of the extent like that they're like, yeah, but that has to be done by a lawyer. And I'm like, I'm a lawyer and I'm telling you it doesn't. And they're like, yeah, well, that sounds scammy.
You're like, fine, really, $50 an hour, fine.
Right.
You made me.
The tech we're dealing with here is it's such a paradigm shift that when you say 50% and you go, no, we want 0.5, they go, this can't possibly be true. You're like, am I selling you my child or something? Like what? How is this?
Or not even that. It's like, no, it's
just free. Yeah.
Percent goes into a DAO or something, and you're actually part member of that DAO. So
right.
Like in Machi X, what are the kind of mechanics and how does that work with your token and with all that?
So we have a little bit of, I'm calling it baggage because that's what it sounds like. And we did initially sell some MCX tokens to fund that first part of the project that was expensive. There was some funding involved in bringing on the team, build the apps. And then, when I spun the team down and started saying, look, those on the team that want to stay on, you can stay on as a DAO member. Let's do it that way. And here's some tokens. Not a lot of people stayed. People wanted just regular jobs. And I think, it's if you're not passionate about crypto, then you're not going to be around because then it's just a job. And that's fine. That's what it is. I'm sure we all know people who are like, yeah, cool, dude. But if you stop paying me, like, I'm not doing this anymore. And I think for a lot of us, it's like, no, we weren't really getting like paid that much anyway in this space, and we're not doing it because it's sure, it pays nice, but yeah, for us, the initial thing I was testing with was making sure that Moloch allowed for using Machi X as the token for the kind of ownership of the DAOs and then turning into DAO shares. That continues to be the case. We currently have a very low circulating market cap. I think not super low, but it's I don't remember, maybe like 400,000 or 500,000 on the circulating market cap side, which arguably, like, is that even a fair valuation? I mean, in crypto land, no, but as an NFT, like, how are you going to justify a $500,000 valuation? Once in a while, it's kind of funny. We get these pump and dumpers jump into our Discord asking for information, and I just like, hey, would you like to join the DAO? Like, that's fine. And a lot of them don't say anything afterwards, but it's fine. But I feel like I'm sort of evangelizing the idea of a DAO, and I don't really do any of that participate in that sort of like pump and dumping. I think it's kind of funny that they do that, but anyway, so they're just like dumping on each other, and sometimes they're like, oh, I'm like some kind of gem hunter. I found this thing. It's like, all right, cool, dude. Anyway, here, buy some NFT art. And it actually does work, because as like people were talking about it and NFT got hot this last cycle, some of these randoms actually did buy some of our art. But yeah, so what we're doing in our economics is that we take out the minting fee. So we put in a curator program. So anybody here on the stream as well, we were interested, are welcome to do that. So basically take our DAO resources and take an artist that you like, or a group of artists, and come mint NFTs through our NFT contract that we love. Actually, I did talk about that NFT contract as well. But then you can take a cut of the proceeds as doing the work, and then the gas fees are paid out of some of the proceeds, and the artist gets most of the money, and whatever left over, that there's a small cut left for the DAO, goes into the DAO wallet. And then we've not actually taken money out of that guild bank yet, but the idea here is to make it so that each DAO member then can rage quit and take some of the assets with them, whether that's in MCX tokens or in ETH or anything else. So we're continuing to evolve that model. We're also providing MCX token drops for DAO members. I'm sure, Deacon, as a DAO member, you might have seen MCX tokens show up in your wallet every now and again. You're like, hey, what's this? So the way I see it is like, it's kind of like I got this idea from synthetics, right? Look, you just dilute the people who hold the tokens that sit there and don't do anything. The people who are participating in some level, at least just by joining the DAO, you've done something. Those people deserve the inflation. And, we did have like a liquidity mining program before this kind of DeFi summer thing. And I decided to, talking to some folks too, we kind of needed to shut that down because it wasn't really bringing that much value. But at the same time, we might experiment with that on the token economics front as well. But on the contract side, I did want to talk about, which is that I worked with the NFT 42 guys, Nate and Jim, I mentioned earlier. It was really surprising to me in the space of NFT land that when you buy something, it's not actually it's not purely on chain as one would imagine. I think amongst this group of people too. I don't know if any guys would notice this, but like when you go to certain platforms, when you buy something, it's basically a redirector to some kind of URI, and then you just, I don't know, you might end up with like something you bought something you like, and you could potentially end up with, as an example I like to reference, like wood sitting on bed. The next time you load it, you're like, oh, hey, what the hell is that? And so it's like, that's not what I bought. So I do think that it's important that when you mint NFTs, it's incumbent on the NFT minter to have a you need to basically have some kind of image hash or file hash, and we put it on our contract that the Infinifty team put together for us. We have both an IPFS and a Arweave hash, and that ensures that there's failover through redundancy, and that you can ensure that the thing you bought is a thing you should have in perpetuity. And that for the artist standpoint, they don't have to worry about like, did I forget to pay my Pinata Cloud or IPFS bill, and that the file that I made and spent so much time on and some collector bought is no longer there.
That's a good point, and a lot of people don't realize that you're really just buying a hash.
Yes.
And in some cases, maybe just like a URL to an API that could be shut down at any time.
Exactly.
Like using IPFS and Arweave is way better because it's a hash, and it can be pinned by anyone for as long as forever. But it's interesting because the NFT standard is so simple, right? It's just like post a URI to an image, put a title and a description, and that's enough to like meet the minimum requirements of the standard. And then you can add really as much as you want, and it's kind of platform specific. Every site does something different, and it would be interesting to have like a more like a gold standard. Like, do you have both Arweave and IPFS? Do you have like maybe some type of code to like regenerate this? Even if it wasn't there, there could be a lot of different things you could do.
That's what I like
on chain, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's what really why I like the NFT 42 team so much, Jim, and the work he's doing. I'm a fan of the Avastars project, and on I recently changed my my avatar pic on Twitter as well as on Discord into a CryptoPunk. And that but Avastars is kind of like the current generation CryptoPunks, I guess you could say. It's kind of like, to me, it's that whole thing is pretty impressive because all the information is on chain. So when I talk about, okay, I'm proud of the fact that all of our pieces in Machi X, are redundantly stored across IPFS and Arweave. That's cool. But they're on a different level where it's like all of the information on the image is stored on chain on Ethereum, in the mint. So it's like, okay, well, that's really going to persist for as long as Ethereum is around, and that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that is really cool.
Entirely on chain. Like, I don't think that this issue is brought up enough where it's just like, unless it's really on chain, it's not really there and it's not really yours. But I will also say, though, that I forget the name of the project now, but there was an interesting project where you buy the NFT and it does actually change. So you buy it with the idea that it evolves because it's impermanent, because the author can change the images. So, okay, well, that's pretty smart too, because you take this kind of bug and you turn it into a feature. Like, okay, that's cool. There's some credit due there to whoever that started that one.
Yeah. There's a couple other projects that do that, like Pixel Chain, or not they have the data in the NFT, like Pixel Chain, and
right.
I wonder if Nifty Art does that too. That on X Diet, Austin Griffiths thing, but yeah, those are real problems, I think.
With music, it's interesting because instead of, you're talking about an audio file, right? And so on some, and I don't mean the fans, I mean a file file.
Nice.
You need to receive the MP3 and listen to it, right? So if the link to that breaks, then kind of the whole thing breaks. And so you have this thing of like, okay, well, now where does this file live? And is it going to live in a stable place? And you end up, you need, sort of maybe IPFS or something like that is the solution. But it shows a point here where it's like, when you want to talk about a trustless system, well, part of what you're trusting with Apple Music is they have a server with the file and you're always going to be able to listen to it.
Right.
It's not strictly true, but
most NFT contracts also have a way for the owner then to update that link too, which is another point of centralization, which may be good because people could actually fix a bad link. But anyways.
And that's, I think that's two problems, right? One, you have the idea that the link can shift, and two, in that I'm not trying to plug Arweave, but I do think that their token model of having you could just pay for it and then pay once and it lives forever is theoretically very good. But I guess for that purpose, I should disclose I do not have any Arweave ownership. Just to
What is their token? AR or something?
Yeah, AR. Yeah. They've done. I think they had a little bit of, people were expecting a pump there when Filecoin was dropping, and then, or dropping, not like decreasing in value, but dropping and like going live finally, and then it dropped too. But yeah, I do think that that's interesting, right? When you have like supposedly they're like Chinese state actors, giving Arweave some problems, and that to me is always like, oh wow, cool, it actually works. That these government entities care.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's something to watch.
So So we've got 10 minutes left, 10-ish minutes left, and usually we try to wrap up with what I call the boost bash here, which it's taking a look like it's a, from your perspective. This is where this is open user research. What cool stuff could we build for DAOhaus that would help, a community like yours? And I think, in your case, we've been talking to you about this all along. So,
like some things that a non-crypto user can onboard easily. Like they can be like, hey, I could just go through this, whether it's a URL that they go to or a link that's like some kind of username and password pairing, or there's an app, or there's something. Maybe it's even a I don't know if you guys saw the Untitled NFT hackathon. One of the teams did a basically a bot for this guy Dank VR. Jin, he and his team did a thing where they can through entirely on Discord, you can interact with like NFT minting, I think, and other smart contract things. If there's a way to simplify that down, though, not for engineers, but like for anybody to be like, dude, I finally downloaded Discord and I figured that out. It's like, could you through Discord commands interact with DAOhaus? I think that'd be super awesome, because then at that point it's like I'm just on this platform, and not only do I talk to people here and upload content here and share media here, I can also do my voting here. And then you already have the integration with Collabland where you can have the user token gated access channel. That would be a really cool integration. But the overall theme is, how do we help onboard mainstream users who don't want to touch their wallets, and that can easily just have this option of having it in the app, and then have it just automated that they can, the complexity is hidden.
Yeah, that'd be super cool. Got to add it to the list.
Yeah, I think it's
Although we have explored some of those things for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's an ongoing, sort of difficulty. Again, it's like, for the time being, the best answer is the white glove piece, right? The people that stick around are the ones that I say, well, hey, let's just put some time on the calendar and I'll just walk you through this piece. And then, but I do think, there's ways to do it, right? And it's just sort of, I'm with Deacon in terms of like, I think you just have to rip off the Band-Aid and be like, no more logins. Sorry, they're not good. They're not safe. They're not helpful. This is how you get hacked. Let me show you this new thing.
The thing is, it really is like a 10x on the experience if people would just like support it. Like authentication through like a MetaMask is just so much better than having to go through email. But it's not there yet. So
I just can't. I just don't think I can get my mother to use MetaMask.
Right.
That's kind of the test that
I was just gonna say. And there's funny things that, I mean, again, this came out of user interviews in my last project. Like my dad has a very visceral reaction to just the name wallet. Like I gave him one. It had literally fake tokens in it. I was just like, yeah, it's fake money. It doesn't matter. It's just an interface slot. And he was like, yeah, I can't stop looking at it. I worry about what's in a wallet. It's like my brain is just like, oh, it's money. Nobody stole the money. We're good. It's just very funny sort of reaction to even simple choices. Like just maybe even calling a wallet is the alienating thing for some people, which is like, yeah, but it's actually this crypto address, and it's not really a wallet. It's just a metaphor we chose. And now
is there, like, as for wallets and NFTs, like, is there, right now, you guys are probably using a safe or something to hold the NFTs, or maybe one of you guys are. Like, if the DAO could hold NFTs, would that be something cool?
Yes, I think that it would be something cool. I don't, I haven't followed too deeply the Flamingo DAO that the folks from the Lao are doing. I'm also part of the Lao along with Metacartel Ventures. I'm just trying to snap up all them Badger tokens. but no, it's I think specifically for like Flamingo DAO, that might be super useful, because the whole idea is for them to collect in the DAO format a bunch of NFTs. So I think that would be useful. I also I think that you guys already have the Minion integration. The sidechain thing for reduced gas or gasless transaction, I know that's already on the roadmap and ongoing. Actually, I'd like to turn that around to you guys as well, as someone who is a summoner of a DAO, as well as, I guess in this case, a loot holder. How can I help, and how can folks like me help?
Yeah, this kind of feedback is so helpful. Like when we're just sitting in a room trying to make assumptions on what users want, we usually make the wrong thing. So it's like really important in our flow to get feedback from the people that are actually trying to use this stuff and, experimenting with it, dealing with all the bugs and all the things that they actually want. And so basically anything we build has to have that first step of someone actually requesting it.
We have a user interview link we can send your way.
Yeah.
If you want to talk
Sure,
to
I'll
Spencer about
fill
it
it
for a
out.
half hour.
Experiment for us.
That's really time. So thank you everyone for joining us. Thanks, Leo, for coming by to
Thanks for having
talk
me.
about all this stuff. We'll have links to Machi X and kind of everything else you mentioned down in the doobly-doo. So
Yeah, thanks, Leo.
Thanks for checking everything out. Thanks for hanging out, everyone.
Thanks, man.
Like and subscribe if you're on YouTube for more.